Barney Safety is a very well constructed Barney and Friends special. This was released in 1995 when I was 3 years old. I don't know if I've seen this before, but it's possible I've seen bits of it because it largely comprises clips from episodes from, I believe, seasons 1 to 3 of Barney and Friends, but there are also some clips created for this. And at several points, mainly the beginning and the end, Barney defines safety with the following quote. Safe means being smart each and every day, so I won't get hurt when I work or play, which I think is lovely. I think it's very memorable and it really helps to define what this special is all about. And I will say it's a lot more detailed than I was expecting. It covers quite a wide range of safety tips, and the way it flows from one clip to the next is really beautifully done. There were a couple of times when it felt forced and the segues weren't that tight, but generally I found it to be pretty impressive. It flowed very well. And that's not always the case with clip shows like this. Sometimes they feel a bit shoehorned, but I think it's something they can be proud of. It's very well packaged. And Barney covers all kinds of different safety tips. We start off with traffic light safety and how to cross the road safely. And then there's some information about helmets, which I hadn't expected. And actually most safety programs aimed at children don't tend to cover the benefits of helmets unless, for example, it's specifically cycling safety. But this one looked at things like construction helmets and, well, space helmets as well, which helped to inject some fun in this. There's a little bit about kitchen safety, not as much as I would have expected, but it does very briefly talk with Barney and Baby Bop about, not touching hot pans and things. And then there's quite a lot of focus on fire safety. And I will say this doesn't feel like the most balanced special because, as I said, I feel like they should have focused on kitchen safety a bit more because that's an everyday thing. But obviously fire safety is tremendously important. And, they learn about how to get out of a building. And what I really love about this is that they show the children practicing crawling, because you're supposed to crawl if a room is filled with smoke, because smoke rises. And I thought that was brilliant, because if a child watching it practices crawling as well, they're more likely to remember the instruction if they've already acted it out. So I like that it's not just providing information, but also encouraging ways to help children absorb that information, which I thought was a really, really clever tactic. With regards to the songs in it, as I've mentioned before, the songs are where the nostalgia is for me and Barney. And actually, I didn't know any of the songs in this, apart from, I think, two, where they made variations. For example, to the tune of Oh When the Saints, they sang Oh When I Walk, which was about walking across the street. And there was another one when they were singing about firefighting. I can't remember which song they parodied or which tune they used, but the music was very nostalgic, but none of the songs I knew, by which I mean I couldn't sing along to any of the songs. So there was no real nostalgia there for me, but I really enjoyed watching it from an analytical perspective because I think it's very well packaged. Everything flows really nicely. I was really impressed with the selection of clips. They managed to make everything fit together really well. And it's so great to see such fun education, which is something I'm always championing, always really appreciating. That education should be fun and it should be memorable, because the more fun it is, the more likely children are to remember the information, particularly when we have engaging things like song and dance or crawling around on the floor. Things like that are going to be much more memorable than just somebody telling you information. So I think, of course, that's one of the reasons why Barney and Friends was so powerful. The later seasons kind of stepped away from that, and I don't think they're as good, but certainly at this point in 1995 they're still going strong with that style of education. Barney Safety is really great. Yes, I think they should have done a bit more kitchen safety and maybe a bit less bath safety. They had some time giving Baby Bop a bath, which is important, but young children generally are not unsupervised at bath time. So while they should know the safety information, it's less likely to cause problems because there should be an adult supervising them at all times. Whereas kitchen safety, a child might wander into a kitchen on their own. A parent might have forgotten to turn the pan handle around. When I was about the age that this episode was released, maybe slightly older, a girl in my class at school, or the other class but the same age, was actually in the newspaper because she'd scalded herself in the kitchen and she suffered horrific burns. So that can happen. And I feel like they should have maybe focused more on that rather than bath time. But maybe at this point they didn't have any clips about that and it was just easier to do it that way. I don't know. But other than that, I feel like the focus was very good. Very educational, very entertaining. Definitely ideal for the target audience and something that I think is pretty great.